Hi, this is Everett. Welcome to my studio, Everett's Watercolors. Today I'm going to do another paint along, and it's going to do some pansies. And I've always been interested in the flower. It's something that grows in the gardens and along the edge of the roads and so forth. And it's a beautiful little flower. So I come up with a composition today. It's a downloadable sketch that I have in the description below. You can paint along with me. And there's a couple of techniques that I use to paint the pansy, which is a little different from other flowers. And I'm glad you're all with me today, and let's have some fun. I'm going to go over and give you some reference material, some pictures I'm looking at, and I'll go over a little bit of drawing, and I'll get right into painting the pansies. So let's go over to my demonstration table. Okay, this is a photograph of a group of pansies, and it's a beautiful little plant. I love the colors and the shapes and so forth, especially the yellow ones, and then there's blue ones and purple ones. So there's all kinds, and white ones. There's all kinds of colors of the pansies. Here's a nice shape here of a purple one with a nice violet center with a little bit of yellow in it and some blue. You see all kinds of colors in here of purples and blues, along with that yellow and deep purple center. And of course there's a dark background with the leaves of the leaves and so forth. Now what I've done today is I picked a grouping of three. This one down here, the yellow one, which has a dark purple center, a violet, dark violet. That's one of my favorite ones. And then there's a white one with a dark purple center. You can see the leaf pattern and the way the colors move in the center of the flower. And then this one here is another variety. This has got a darker outline in blue with a dark blue purple center, and lots of leaves around. Okay, so let me move you over to the painting board. Okay, this is a copy of the sketch I have on my sketch pad, and this is a downloadable sketch I have on my website, and it's listed in the comments description below of this video. And it's downloadable. You can download this little sketch and paint along with me. Now I've left out some of the details because you only want to have just the outline and just the basic shapes. And these really show the three shapes that I showed those photographs of just earlier. So this was a sketch that I have on a downloadable link. I'll move this aside. And what I've done, I've gone ahead and sketched in those three shapes. Maybe do a close-up here. I've sketched in those three shapes on a piece of 140-pound Gemini watercolor paper, and it's archival, and 140-pound, very nice weight for watercolor to use for painting. And I also drew it in very lightly because when I paint over it, of course, I don't want to erase any of the pencil lines. But I drew it in very lightly so that I can follow basically the shape. But then the colors will take over, and I don't want to have to erase the pencil lines at the end. And I have an extra sheet of watercolor paper here for doing some color testing and so forth before I do the painting. Now over here on my palette I have all my colors laid out here. I'm going to use lemon yellow, permanent lemon yellow, probably quinacridone violet, which is a violet color, a Lutheran crimson, and then I got some cobalt. I got cobalt blue and ultramarine blue. And down here at the bottom I also have some greens that I'll be using also for the background. Back here I have my array of spray bottles. I won't be using a lot of spray bottles today, but I will be using the the dot spray bottle with water in to wet the paints. Keep the paints nice and moist. And on the brushes I have a number 10 round brush, natural hair. Also have this is a blend, this is a number 6 designer round brush, which is a number 6. And then I have a large number 14. This here is going to be used for the background and also to put a lot of paint in there. Okay. So I'm going to use two brushes here to get started, and I'll show you what I'm going to do. The technique here, this first flower I'm going to put in is the white flower. I'm going to put this white flower here with the dark violet center. And first of all, I'm going to do a color check on the violet. So I'm going to mix a nice color here. I'm going to start with quinacridone violet, but then I'm going to add a little bit of cobalt blue to that because it's got a little blue tone with the violet. A little darker, maybe a little ultramarine. Let's see, now I'll come over here to my test sheet. And test that color. Test that color against the center there. Yeah, that's about it. That's what I want. And that was a mixture of quinacridone violet and a little bit of ultramarine and cobalt blue to give you a nice dark violet. Nice dark violet. Okay? So I've got that mixed. Now, in this particular flower here, the majority of it's white. So the only part I want to worry about is the center. So when I paint this, I'm going to use one brush with just water in it. And I took out some of the water on the hidden sponge to take out. And I'm just going to wet that area that I want to put the paint around, because the white paper I'm going to leave alone. So just wet that one area. And then I'm going to pick up that paint in the second brush. And I'm going to go in there and just touch that. You know, see, that's what watercolor does. I'll bring it up closer to the camera. You can see how that paint is spreading now with the water. Okay? And I can control the shape of that by putting a little more pigment in there. Okay. Now I'll do the second puddle. Second petal, not puddle. So I'm going to I'll keep these petals separate. Just wet that inside section and pick up the pigment. And just touch that water with the paint. Let it spread. Now check the. I'm checking the. Right now I'm looking at the value because I want it nice and dark. So I'm adding a little more pigment into that puddle. But while it's wet, I can add paint. And I'll do this one more puddle over here with the water where I want the paint to go. You don't want to put too much water here, just enough to dampen the paper. Too much water and then the paint will start flowing. And just touch that puddle with water, and then the watercolor will spread. I'll go back and do a little bit of editing here. Okay, now I'm gonna let that one dry. Okay, so that's the start of the first. That's the start of the first pansy. All right, now the second one I'm going to do is I'm going to do the yellow one here. Yellow with a dark center, dark purple center. I'll rinse out my brush that I just had the purple paint in. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use lemon yellow, permanent lemon yellow. I'm going to go ahead and paint that whole petal yellow. So now I'm painting. I'm going to do a wet on wet technique. So this is going to paint the whole petal. I'm going to leave a little dry spot there because I want to put some white, leave some white paper there in the center of the petal. But here I'm going to put the yellow down on that petal. Okay, I'm going to rinse out the brush. Now I'm going to pick up that dark mix again. I'll add a little more of that ultramarine blue. It needs a little. I'm going to put a little bit of glycerin crimson in this because it's got a little bit of red tone to it. So here I'm going to go ahead and put this one in. I'm going to just touch the center. Just touch that wet area. And let that paint disperse on its own. Okay. I'm going to go ahead now and paint the next petal. We're having a little rainstorm around here today, so I hear some thunder outside, and hope the electricity will hold up here on this demonstration. If we have a problem with the electricity, we'll continue. I'll continue painting, and I'll put this broadcast online after, if I have to. Okay, now I'm going to pick up some more of that dark mix I made with. I got glycerin crimson. I'm just putting it into that wet paint I just put down there, and let that paint spread around. Okay, we'll do one more. So I'm rinsing out the brush now because I'm using the same brush for both paint applications. So over here I'm going to go ahead and put this paint this petal. And pick up that same color, which is the alizarin crimson and ultramarine blue. Gives me a nice dark purple. I know I'm going to do a little modification here. See that that color there, I'll make a little bit bluer, a little bit more violet. So I'm adding a little more of that mix into that one color there. Okay, now the third flower is another way, the third way of painting the pansy, and that's the one with the blue outside, blue exterior with a dark center. So, okay, a little different technique here. First of all, this is a dark, it's got a blue exterior, so I see, but it's got a little, if you look at the colors up close, look at the colors up close, it's got a little hint of red with that, a little hint of red. So the way I'll mix that is I'll use the ultramarine blue as the blue color. And then on top of that, I'll put a little bit of I'll charge it with a little bit of Lutheran crimson. So I'll mix up a little bit of Lutheran crimson over here, ready to go. Alizarin. So my first job will be to wet the puddle. What I'm doing here is I'm leaving the white paper dry so that when I paint around, this one here, I'm only wetting the paper where I want to put the color in, okay? I'll pick up a little bit of that blue, mix it in with a little bit of the alizarin crimson to warm it up a little bit. And paint the outside edge. You notice also you look at the flower and the edges aren't exactly smooth either. They're a little rough, sometimes a little ragged, but that's fine. That makes it even better for art. Give a little shape there. Okay, I'm going to paint the next one. You'll notice when you look at pansies, they're all different shapes. They're a little bit shaped. Of course, they're all different colors, but they're also different shapes of the petals. So you just pick one you like, the kind of pansy color you like, and the shape you like, and then go ahead and just draw it, and then mix the color. I'm using three different ways of introducing these colors. And what I can do there, put a little. Now on top of that, I can put the red in. Well, I'm charging the red now to warm up that blue a little bit because it's got a little bit of tint of red into that color. I'll get one more over here. Same idea. Put the blue down. A little bit of red on top of that, just warm it up a little bit. The blue cools it down and the red warms it up. So that gives me a little bit of warm violet. Blue mixed in with a little bit of red. Now one more petal here I'll put over on this side. So I'm painting the outside of this one. This has a different color configuration. That's why I chose these three. They gave me three ways of painting the pansy. Now I'll just put a little bit of red into that mix. I put it around. While it's still wet, you can always add color while the paint is still wet. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to go back to this one that's dried now. The one at the bottom, the white one down here. And I'm going to introduce a little bit of yellow into that center. So I'll go back to the Yellow Lemon, and I'll put the little yellow dot here in the center of this particular flower. And this petal, the yellow one now, I'm going to go ahead and paint this one petal is all yellow. There's only three of the four that have got the blue violet color on. Actually, it's a red, deep red violet. Well, I got the yellow mix on here. I'll go ahead and there's a little yellow center here. I'll put that in right now just to get the yellow out. There's a little yellow center here. I'm not finished with this one here. I got another color to put in on top of this. Okay. All right, now while that's drying a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and start working on the background. But a couple of things I could do with this. There's when I'm finished with this, if I want to make a card, a greeting card out of this, I could crop this a little bit and make a 4 5/8 by 6 and by about a 6 by 5 greeting card. And then I have room down here at the bottom. I could put a little message in there on this, so I can make a greeting card. If I like what I see here, I can move the space around and locate what I wanted. And so I could, before I went any further, I could just use this with white background and put a little stamp in here, a little message, and crop it and mount it on a card. So that's one idea you could do with a little painting like this. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, mix up some colors, and really the background, if you look at the background, there's all kinds of greens, darks, and all kinds of values and colors behind the pansy. So I can go ahead and just have a good time here. I'll move these smaller brushes aside. Just mix up some colors. I can use the colors I already have and pick up some green. A little bit of little burnt sienna. A little ultramarine blue. I mean, I can have a lot of dark colors. A little alizarin crimson. So let's see. Down by this white flower, I'm going to have a lot of darker values, so it'll make that pop out. And a good mix of browns and greens, purples. So I'm just going ahead and just putting all kinds of colors down here to simulate a background. It could be leaves. It could be some soil from the garden. It could be other flowers nearby. Just a nice variety of color. As long as it's still wet, I can add more color to it. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm adding more color. Now next to this yellow flower, I'm going to put a little more violet, because the violet will pull out, contrast-wise, it'll make that yellow flower look a lot stronger. So I can use the complement of the flower to enhance or to make the yellow look even brighter by putting the complement. In this case, I'm using a purple or violet color around that yellow to bring out that color. Now up here I can also, up here this blue one, I need to add some more color up here. I'm not finished with that one. I'm going to go back to my paintbrush. This one up here with the blue, I want this whole petal to be blue. So this whole petal here, I'll put a little bit of cobalt in this, because some petals have got a little hint of red in them, which is what I put the red on. But this other petal can be all blue, because there's a variety of colors even in the flowers. I mean, they're not all constant. They're all different. They're all different colors, different shapes of the petals, different colors. That's why I think the pansies are really a very nice thing to paint, because they give you lots of variety of color and shapes. Okay, I'll go ahead and continue on. What I was going to do up here, because I have a darker flower, I'm going to have maybe a lighter background. So I can introduce some yellows. Even oranges. To give it a lighter background up here around this. The complement of blue, of course, is orange. So we can pull that color out a little bit by putting some oranges around there. Also, orange and yellow is the color of light, so also could be reflected light around the plants. A little bit of burnt sienna, which is also as an orange, a dark orange, is okay to put next to the blue. At this stage, everything looks a little bit messy. But as you work on it and get the colors in there and then start shaping the edges, things will start coming together. I want to get a little transition in here, so I have a little dark, light to dark. So I'm painting around the edges, just trying to define a little bit. Then I'm going to go in with detail a little bit with the round brush. Okay. So I use the flat brush to put a lot of the colors in. Now I'm going to go in and go around the flowers and give you a little more design. So with this number 16 Holbein Gold is a real nice brush. It's on my website, and I have my art supplies. So this is a blended brush, but it's a nice watercolor brush. It holds a lot of paint, and it comes to a nice fine point. So it's really good for detail work also. So it's got a multi-purpose to it. I'll rotate around so you can see. Now I'm going in. I'm defining the edges of the petals now a little bit better. And so I'm putting in the dark colors down here at the bottom to show off that white flower. I hear the rain outside really coming down. Got a nice rainfall going on. So my plants in the garden will be very happy. And remember, in watercolor, the paint itself will dry about 40%. So it may look dark when you put it down, but it's going to dry lighter. So sometimes you have to really think about that and plan for that, because you think all of a sudden when it's nice and wet, it's nice and dark, but when it dries, it turns out to be lighter than you expected. So it's better to put it down nice and dark when you're doing it. And with experience, you'll find out that that's what happens. That watercolor will dry a little bit lighter, about 40% lighter than when you have it when it's wet. So maybe you want to add it just a little bit darker than you want it to wind up being. Almost finished with this flower. Now see, as I come around the edge and define the edges of the petals, then the flower starts to pop out a little bit. There's still a little detail I can do. You know, you play with these objects, flowers and other objects in the landscape, trees and so forth. You can always go back and make little adjustments. You can always do some fine detail. The real the real challenge here is to know when to quit, because you can overdo it if you just keep playing around and keep fussing with the same paint or the same area. Just try to get it down the first or second time and then leave it alone. It usually doesn't get much better after that. After that it gets a little bit overworked. So it's best to go in. I'm putting more purple around this yellow so that yellow will pop out. And leave a little white edge here and there. So it'll make that yellow look really nice with that purple around this one. I'm not going to put purple around it, just this one area, just to set it off. Okay. Now I'll introduce a little bit more of the warmer colors, a little bit of burnt sienna. Burnt sienna is a nice warm color. It's also a nice mixing color with other colors. It mixes nice with purples, mixes nice with greens. Does a beautiful job with blues. They give you a nice gray. I did a whole video on how to mix burnt sienna, and it's a very popular video on YouTube. So you go to my YouTube channel and search for burnt sienna. And on some of my videos, I put the link in there on where to find it. Okay. And I'll smooth these colors out a little bit with what I'm doing is blending a little bit with the other colors I have that are still damp. And okay. Yeah, along conjunction with the, I just remembered, in conjunction with the burnt sienna film, I have another one, mixing grays, which is another good video. It shows you how to mix the grays from using the primary and secondary colors. And that's a good one for all artists to review and practice. You see some of the grays I'm mixing here. The burnt sienna mixed in with a blue will give you a gray. The orange mixed in with a blue will give you a gray. The violet mixed in with a yellow. Now this one here. Trying to be a little bit lighter up here, a little warmer and lighter up here. At the bottom I want it cooler and a little bit darker. Up here I want a little bit warmer and lighter. So knowing that the color is going to dry a little bit lighter, I'm going to leave a little less pigment out of it. So over here I'm trying to, now I'm defining the edges of the flower and also working on the value up here where I want to be a little bit lighter. Maybe to show some sunlight coming in, playing with the value a little bit up here. So I'm going from dark to light. In a way, I'm moving from dark to light as I go around, but it's also to highlight some of the colors that I have down. Now I'm putting the burnt sienna around, a little bit of burnt sienna mixed in with a little bit of yellow around this yellow color. And this big round brush is doing a good job. I love the points on this, because I can use it like a flat brush in terms of lots of quantity of paints. And then I can use the tip, to go in there and really define the edge. Really define the edge. I'm going to wipe this out over here. And more yellow. Okay, now this one little pansy up here. This one right here needs a little more blue in it because it has a center to it. So I've got to go in now with my technique of wetting the paper on the inside here. I'm going to try something different. I'm going to wet all 5 petals here. Put the water in first. And then I'm going to mix up. It's got a, this one has a dark purple center right next to the yellow. And it's more blue than it is red, so it's got a purple with blue in it. So I'm going to put that in there. Now a few fine things I can do here with this color. Let me see what I have a color mixed here. Gonna make sure I got that purple again. Most of these flowers have got a lot of purple in them. Different colors of purple. Blue purple, red purple. This one here has more blue in it. So I'm going to shape my brush now. This is that number 6 round. Wipe out a lot of the paint. And then I can go in and I can do some fine tuning on this one. This has little spokes coming out of it. Give a little character. Give a little character. Just a little bit. Give it a little bit of what will come out of there. Okay, and this one over here comes out some more. Okay. This has a little more red in it, so I'll go back. This one here is still wet, but I can still go in now, and I can take a little bit of that paint, and so we'll finish this off. This has got some of those same spokes, so I can pull this out. I put a little bit of paint in my brush, and then pull out some of this color that's already there. And I can make those little spikes coming off the flower inside. Just give this a little character. Okay. Now, as far as the background, you can also add in, here's say a leaf shape. Don't want to get carried away with this, but you can, paint over top of this and put in some darker shapes. Just a hint, indication that there may be some leaves, a little bit of texture around the flower. And this flower up here at the top, if you look at it, it's got a red purple here, but on the outside leaf, it's got more blue in it. So this one here, I could put a little bit of red on that, but it doesn't need much. And when you start tinkering with a little bit, it may be something that doesn't need to be necessary, but I can put a little bit more, just a blend of red. What I'm doing now is I'm really glazing, this is really a light glaze of red, alizarin crimson, over top of that blue. And that does match some of that other purples there, but it doesn't really have to. If you know, you have to make your own decision which way you want to go with that. Okay. I'm checking the focus on the camera, make sure it's okay. All right, now what you can do now is, I mentioned before I put the background, you can make a greeting card out of it, but you can also make a small painting. You can take a small mat. Actually, you can get a bigger mat. You can go, that way you can show all the flowers if you want to go ahead and put a big mat around it and mat that in, sign it down here somewhere in the dark area with light colored lettering. Or you could crop it just a little bit and make a smaller painting. It's like a 9 by 10, 9 by 12. If you crop off anything, don't crop off parts that maybe didn't work out as well, or show off parts that you would like to show. Don't put a flower right in the center, have it kind of asymmetric. And then you can even go down even further. This is an 8 by 10 frame. It's going to an 8 by 10 frame. So you have some variations here. Just depends which flower you like to show first. Okay, I think I'll bring it over to the close-up camera. You can take a little bit of detail, and then we'll close out. Let me go to close-up. Get a first white flower. I went ahead and I put in some extra brush strokes down here to show those spikes or spokes on the purple. And then I did the yellow. I did the yellow with the purple center over here, and then I did the purple one with a little bit of red mixed in with it. Okay. But I think overall you can get into a view overall, and I'd made the area light up the top and darker at the bottom, so maybe a indication of lighting from the sun hitting those particular flowers, and then a hint of some grass or leaves in the foreground. Okay, well I had some fun doing that. I guess technically things I did was I wet the paper first in one case. I wet the paper and then I put the paint in there and let the paint spread. Let the paint kind of take over, let the water take over and paint itself with the first stage. And then another one I painted the whole leaf in a color, that yellow one, I painted the whole leaf yellow, and then I put the color in on top of the yellow and let it spread. Now the real control problem there is how wet is the paper. If it's too wet, the paint will spread over a large area. If you keep it just moist, then you can control how far the paint will spread. So that really technically, as far as painting that particular flower, if you're going to do it that way, is controlling the spread of the paint with the water. So really it's just an exercise, and do a few samples on your own. Do a few examples and a few testers on your own to see how much water you want to use and how much you can do and still control the flow of the paint. Okay, and then play a little bit around with the background. Don't worry too much about the colors. Make the darks and lights, and to make it more interesting. Hey, well, I enjoyed that exercise today. I hope you have some time to download that and try it yourself and put it on Facebook. I have the link below on the description of my Facebook page, which is Have Fun with Watercolors. And you can download your painting and make some comments, and we can share it together. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and give me a thumbs up. It helps with my rating. So I hope you all had a nice, safe day today. I had a little bit of weather here today, but fortunately the electricity held up and the broadcast went on without a hitch. So you all stay safe and take care of each other. And we'll see you on the next video.